Hello, everybody. So I'm grateful and impressed that you are here for this session on the Joyful Productivity Framework. Why? Well, because this is being presented during Medium Day, and at the same time, same exact time, there are several other sessions that I found were quite interesting sounding. So thank you for being here. I think you are a special type of person to show up for this. And if you are here live, those of you who are here live, I would love to have you chat below if you're able to chat. Yes, you can. You can chat to everybody, just not just to me. And let me know, and those of you watching the recording later, you can comment below if that's available too. What drew you to a session called the Joyful Productivity Framework when there were other interesting sessions available? So please go ahead and chat below and let me know. And the second thing that I would be interested is what do you think joyful productivity means? When you saw the title of this, what did it mean to you? Like, did you have some preconceived idea already about what joyful productivity is? All right. Well, we don't have a lot of time, and I have a lot to share with you. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. First of all, I have a document that I want to give to you because I won't be able to say everything in this session, and I would like for you to have the resource for later. So in the chat or in the notes below, I'm hoping that there will be notes below. There is a link. It's bit.ly/joy pro intro, and that will bring you to the outline of my talk today, and it has links to other resources, blog posts, videos that will continue to inspire you to be joyfully productive. All right, so here's the premise of why joyful productivity is important and why I created this idea framework is that we spend most of our waking life working. Well, at least I do. Probably a lot of you do as well. And if we're going to be working, we might as well be doing it in a way that is joyful for sure, but also grows us personally. Because if work is only a means to an end, oh, I'm working so that I can make money and support my family or make the world a better place, also all wonderful reasons. But if it's a means to an end, then you have to basically continue to suffer and struggle and wait until you have the result before you can be happy. All right, before you can feel fulfilled, before you can feel joyful. And I always felt like, well, I don't know when I'm going to drop dead. I could be typing this, I could be speaking right now, and in the next moment, I could be dropping dead. I don't know how long I have to live. So might as well, during the time I have the privilege and blessing to be here alive and working, I might as well bring as much joy and growth as I can to me personally. That's what that's really what inspired the whole joyful productivity thing. It's not just to be more efficient, to get stuff done, to make more of an impact, sure, to make more money, fine. But it's all along the way, the process itself is worthwhile. I'm inspired by this quote that came from the Bhagavad Gita, which says, and I'm going to paraphrase right now, I don't have it in front of me. Someone can chat it below. Um, it says this: you do not have any right to the fruits of your labor. You only have a right to the labor itself. So if you are attached to the fruits of your labor, so it says, don't be attached to the fruits of your labor, and also don't be attached to inaction. So don't be lazy also. Because if you work with duty, you will achieve the supreme. If you work without attachment, you will achieve the supreme. So that always inspired me to say, today, when I'm showing up for work, I'm going to make my hours as worthwhile in themselves as possible, no matter what the result is. So let me go ahead and share with you now okay, let's give a second here. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that the document is okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and share with you a couple things. One is what are the skills of joyful productivity that actually that I practice, that I teach students to practice, and what are the principles of joyful productivity? So number one, the skills. And again, if you go to the document that I've given you, um, it will outline these things and give you links to further resources. Okay. The first one is CCC. What does that stand for? Capture, categorize, and calendar. This is how I manage all of the overwhelm of information and ideas that I have, but information coming to me and the ideas that I have that I would like to action on to make a difference in my life and in the world. Capture, categorize, calendar. So the first thing we do is we capture the ideas. Throughout the day, you're probably going to get ideas, not just when you're sitting at the computer ready to work, but you'll get ideas when you're, taking a walk, when you're doing the dishes, when you're, working on some other project, you have an idea for another one. So the first question is, do you have a method for capturing your ideas and for capturing important information that's coming at you? Okay. So what I do is I just use my to-do list software and I capture ideas in the today category. I use Todoist. I know some of you might do it. Some of you might use Notion or some other to-do list software. But regardless, there's a today category. Things that you put there will be so-called due today. So I capture things in my today category, and then I categorize at the end of my day. That's the second step. Capture, categorize, and calendar, right? So at the end of my day, I categorize the items that I had thought of today and that came in today that seemed important. I categorize them into various buckets that are important, basically. Okay. So I categorize them into things like, okay, marketing ideas, right? Or client service ideas, or content ideas, or whatever it may be, right? And then calendar is to take my categories and make sure they have a space in my calendar on some kind of recurring basis. So, for example, if I capture marketing ideas, but I never take action on them, then they're not going to make a positive difference in my life or in my business or in the world. So I have a recurring item on my calendar, a recurring hour, once a week on my calendar. Actually, these days it's more like 2 or 3 hours a week, but I have time slotted in my calendar for the category. Okay, marketing ideas. And when the time comes on my calendar, it says, oh, it's 12 p.m. It says marketing ideas. Great. Then I go to my category, the place where I captured all those ideas. And then at that point, I will take a few minutes to prioritize, oh, what is really energizing for me today? What is joyful for me today to work on? Now, sometimes I have to work on things that have a deadline, that have urgency because other people are expecting something, or I need to do certain steps so that I can launch a project. Sometimes the priorities are obvious, but other times it says marketing ideas on my calendar, or it says create content, or it says improve client services. And then I go to the category and I say, what's energizing and important for me today, right now? And then I take action on them. So that way it keeps your work more flexible, more aligned with the context of now, rather than, 3 weeks ago, I said I should do XYZ at this particular time. Well, why? How does it align to the current context? The nice thing about Capture, Categorize, Calendar is that it makes sure that all the major areas of your work and your life don't fall through the cracks, that there will always be a time set aside for that category. But then when it comes time to do that category, you can prioritize in the moment to say, well, right now, today, this particular item on the list is more important. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So that's an example of one of the skills in the Joyful Productivity Suite. And Krishnamurti here says, sounds like getting things done, GTD. Yes, I did get that was one of my original inspirations for sure for the productivity skills. So another skill in the Joyful Productivity Framework is called hat manuals. Hat manuals is basically when in your work and in your life, you wear multiple hats. For example, when it comes to my marketing, I wear a marketer hat. When it comes time to meet with a client, I wear a coach hat. When it comes to do my finances, I wear my bookkeeper hat. right? For each of these hats, the question is, do you have an easily accessible manual for yourself so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel each time, so that you can calmly simply open the document that says, here is how I create content. Now, here's how I write a blog post. Here's how I edit a video. Here's how I do my bookkeeping. Here's how I prioritize my marketing ideas, right? Or here's how I prepare for my client session. Here's how I follow up with my client sessions. I have documents for each of these things. And so when it comes time to do that, I just calmly open the document and I follow the steps. And sometimes, of course, I adjust the steps, say, this step is less relevant, or this step needs clarity. So then I might clarify my hat manual more. So it's basically a manual for the particular hat you're wearing. So I recommend this, especially if you do certain things on a recurring basis. And every time you do it, you might feel the resistance of, I don't want to do it. Because if you don't want to do something, it's often because you don't have the absolute clarity for what to do. So a hat manual or simply a document will allow you to not have to question yourself, to say, well, what do I do now? And also it's either you don't have the clarity for what to do, or the steps that you're doing are too daunting. And the hat manual helps you to break it down and says, oh, this is totally doable. You just take step 1 and then take step 2, et cetera, right? A third skill is organized by deliverables. And by the way, of course, I'm giving you quick overviews, and you can look into these for more resources if you want to. Organized by deliverables means instead of trying to organize all the knowledge that you're getting. So for example, when I read books, when I take courses, when I watch videos, I don't take notes except for whatever fits into my hat manual. Do you understand? So in other words, a lot of us, when we take courses, when you're taking this session, for example, you're watching this session, you might be taking notes like, oh, idea. And for me, there's too many notes, and it makes your informational system too cluttered. And so I say organized by deliverables or organized by hat manuals, meaning whatever book I'm reading, session I'm attending, video I'm watching, if I hear an idea, see an idea, that I go, okay, that could fit into my hat manual for when I'm doing this, or that could fit into okay, I'm working on a particular project. Whatever idea that I get that could work for that project, I put it in that folder or that document. So I organize by deliverables. Deliverables are basically things I deliver to the world, or a hat manuals. It's organized by a particular process, basically. So I hope that helps you to maybe stop trying to organize your entire knowledge base for yourself, unless you're going to teach it. And I recommend that too. If you're going to organize a knowledge base, you might as well turn it into a deliverable and actually teach it to the world. Fine, teach it to a group of friends who might be interested, or start writing blog posts online or something like that, or making videos. You might as well deliver whatever you're organizing to the world so that you actually organize better, because you're going to be teaching it or delivering it as a project of some kind. Another skill is EDA, which again, there's a link in the document that gives you full detail, but EADA stands for eliminate, automate. If you cannot eliminate a task or an idea, can you automate it using software these days, AI, or other tools? If you can't automate it, or you don't know how to, can you delegate it? Have someone else do it? Okay, a team member or a family member, if they're willing to take it on, can you delegate it to another human being to do it? And if you can't delegate it, or you don't have the resources to hire someone to do it, then the final letter is A, which is appreciate. That means you couldn't eliminate this task. And by the way, most of us have too many things on our to-do list. Raise your hand if you probably have too many items on your to-do list. You are an idealist, probably, otherwise you wouldn't be here in a place called Joyful Productivity. You're probably an idealist. You want a better world, you want a better life. And so you tend to accumulate so many tasks, and so many ideas that you want to do. So first step is really to try to eliminate more things, or put it on the someday maybe list. I don't have to keep looking at this to-do item that keeps coming overdue. Just undate it, make it no date, someday maybe. I do that all the time with my things. It's still in the category. Remember, capture, categorize, calendar. So still in the category. You can look at it someday, but you don't have to keep being bothered by it. So try to eliminate tasks. If you can't eliminate it, try to automate it. If you can't automate it, try to delegate it. If you can't delegate it, then what can you do? You have to do it yourself. You appreciate the fact that you have the privilege and the opportunity to bring some of your values to doing this very task. And then finally, well, I'll just quickly share with you there are 25 different skills for joyful productivity. I'm just giving you a quick overview of it. Working deeply is the fifth skill I want to just briefly mention. And working deeply is this idea that, as I mentioned at the beginning of the session, if you're going to be working, you might as well bring some joy to it. You might as well let the work grow you personally and not just trying to get stuff done. And so I do something called an energy reboot several times an hour. I have a link for you in the document, energy reboot, or you can Google it. Thankfully, Google knows my energy reboot and will bring you to my videos and an article about energy reboot. Energy reboot. You just Google that, you should find my article or video about it. And it's something I do several times an hour when I'm working during my working day, because it only takes about 20 seconds, 20 to 30 seconds. And essentially, it's a conscious breathing exercise to return again to the deepest source of well-being that I have. For me, that's my connection with my divine source. But for you, what is your deepest source of well-being? When you are well-fed, well-slept, when you are in a good state emotionally, what do you consider to be the deepest source of your well-being in your life? Maybe it's your trust in the community to take care of you. Maybe it's your trust in your own resilience and grit. Maybe that's your deepest source of well-being. Or for some of us, it's a spiritual thing. Maybe you trust in God, you trust in the universe, you trust in the process of life. So I come back to that deep source several times an hour when I'm working, because it allows me to remind myself again of, whatever I'm doing is not that important. What's more important, in my opinion, is to continually aim to embody our values. And that means to first realize that there's a source from which these values come from. Maybe it's your vision of what a good life is. Maybe it's your spiritual worldview. But you come back to that and go, that's actually more important. And then let me embody that in whatever I'm doing now, so that it tends to remove frustration because it gives you a bigger picture. It tends to also bring more joy to whatever you're doing. Okay, so I hope this is encouraging and helps you better understand what joyful productivity is. I'm really open to answering your questions, so feel free to chat below if you have a question, and you can type the word question in all capital letters. Yeah, and Krishnamurti says, I like the energy reboot idea. What to do if we aren't too sure about our source? Now, that's a really beautiful question. And I feel like that's a question that is a lifelong question. You know, I don't think we're born with the immediate understanding of it. I think we learn as we grow and mature and find our own path in life to say, okay, this is what's deeply most meaningful to me about life is what? And that's what's deeply meaningful, and what also gives me the most hope. What is the source of my deepest hope? And yes, you may need to journal about this, talk to people that you trust and that you love about this, so that you come to some philosophy that you really can believe in and action in your life. And that is, I think, where we find our source. Thank you, Allison, for the question. Do you always keep your to-do list open as a parking lot for capturing? Yes. So I always have my, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and show you right now. I'm going to show you my screen here. I'm going to show you my screen. Okay, I'm going to do this right now. Here we go. Okay. So this is my browser screen that, I'm usually working at the computer, and this is my browser screen. And I always have my calendar pinned, my to-do-list pinned, my hat manuals pinned. This is all of my hat. I'm going to quickly scroll. I'm going to quickly scroll here. How I send my Friday video uploading. I have certain links that go to my course platform to upload various things. I have, when I'm sending my email to my client group, here are the summary emails I can duplicate and copy. I just click on that and sends me to the summary email. Anyway, I have all these things. When I'm launching a course, what do? etc. Here are I take a topical poll. Here are the examples of my recent topical polls. Da, 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 da. So I have all these open as my hat manuals all throughout the day. I'm just going through these different things. And my Todoist is also one of the tabs that's open and quickly capture ideas. So yeah, any other questions, go ahead and chat below. Yeah, Christian Murray says, yes. How about calmness and meditation? Absolutely. My energy reboot is certainly basically my kind of mini meditations that I do throughout the day, but everybody has different practices. Okay, so while I'm waiting for questions, I want to share with you a couple of the principles of joyful productivity that whatever productivity system you use, some of these principles might be useful to you anyway. Okay, so one principle that a lot of my students, Joy Pro students love is the idea of working lightly. Working lightly. And again, I have a link for you in the document that brings you to, I think it's a video that will inspire you to work lightly. And the idea is this, okay, this is so important, particularly those of you who are, well, I was going to say those of you who are entrepreneurs, but this is, I think, important even if you're working in an organization and an individual contributor. Oftentimes, especially the fact that you are probably an idealist, I mean, the fact that you're here in this session means that you have a vision for a project or a task. And for example, I want to launch a business, okay, or I'm going to launch this product in my business. Or I'm going to launch my website or whatever, or I'm going to complete this project in my job. And the problem is your vision is oftentimes, I would say, it is not going to be the same thing that happens at the very end of the completion of the project. It tends to change along the way as the project gets feedback from other human beings. Because otherwise, if you're in your own head and you vision something, the danger is always that you become more and more detached from reality. You could become more and more detached from what other people actually want and how other people actually react. So I say work lightly, meaning, first of all, every project ideally gets feedback from the end user, right? Along the way as you go, rather than developing this perfect product in your own garage for 10 years and then trying to push it on people. Rather, it's like getting feedback along the way. So working lightly and iteratively. So I'm like, you know what? I don't know if this simplest idea. I don't know if this blog post I'm writing is going to be understood by people. Is really going to make an impact. So I might as well just take a short amount of time I use Twitter to kind of tweet my ideas out real quick. You can use Threads if you're liberal. Instead, you can use Threads. No, Twitter and Threads has become so politically divided, but whatever. I've been using Twitter for a long time. So even before Elon took over. So I use Twitter to just quickly tweet out my ideas, say, hey, is this resonant at all? It takes me 15 minutes to quickly tweet an idea. And only if it gets some likes, then I go, oh, okay. I'm going to further iterate on that to turn that into a longer post, a longer social media post. And now I'll take half an hour instead of 15 minutes to further develop the idea and put it out there, see how it does. Oh, no one cared. Okay, all right, move on to the next idea, right? So I do this with every project to work lightly. I'll share one more thing before I take another question, which is another principle of mine is to be strict about showing up, but to be lenient about the results. So I follow my calendar throughout the day. That's one of the I think, good productivity skills is to learn how to befriend your calendar, to see it as a loyal assistant. It's your wise past self advising you what you should be doing at this hour. Okay. Are you gonna ignore your wise past self? I hope not. I hope you trust your wise past self, just like you hope your future self trusts your current wise self. Okay. So the calendar is your past wise self giving you a signal, giving you a message to the future saying, hey, it's probably a good idea to do it at this time. So I follow my calendar. I'm strict about showing up for what's on my calendar. But then I might feel resistance. Oh, I'm supposed to write a blog post right now. Well, why do I feel resistance? Because I'm concerned about whether it's going to make a difference at all, or whether I'm going to be frustrated by I can't figure out this idea or whatever. Okay. So I remind myself, I'm strict about showing up. Congratulations, I'm here, right? To write this blog post or do whatever. But then I remind myself to work lightly, to be lenient about the results, because I don't know if these things are going to make an impact. But what I do know is that I can take this hour or moment or whatever I'm doing, however long I'm doing this, to bring some joyful productivity to this. I can bring my values to this. I can use this opportunity as a way to grow myself, no matter what the results are, and to practice concentration, to grow my muscles of creativity, to grow my muscles of patient play, patient playfulness, right? I'm playing. This thing might be frustrating, but let me bring some play into this, and therefore be able to be more patient with the process. Let me bring some lightness to this. And so strict about showing up, lenient about the results so that I can focus on being light and joyful about the process and growing throughout the process, breathing spirit into the process. And then the third part of it is strict about showing up, lenient about the results, and gently refocusing. Refocusing gently. Strict about showing up for whatever it's on your calendar, lenient about the results, working lightly, and then gentle about refocusing, because throughout the hour or whatever, I'm going to continually get stuck again, probably because I forget again what the bigger perspective is. So gentle about refocusing. For me, I do my energy reboot several times an hour. It only takes 20 seconds. But whatever you need to do, gently refocus again on what's the bigger picture, and then therefore, how can I bring some joy into this process that I'm doing? So question here, let's see. Like testing the waters, Tracy says, absolutely. I'm continually always testing, delivering something for feedback, testing again, etc. Let's see. Ben says, how do you classify the list? Do you just list them one after another and go through them one by one? Do you already have categories or energy classification? So how do you create the categories in the capture categorized calendar? Well, it depends on your work, right? So the question is, as you look at your work, what are the different areas that must be attended to if you're going to succeed with your work? So as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, obviously things like marketing, delivery of product and service, bookkeeping, right? Maybe strategy, right? Bigger overall strategy, maybe HR and team management. So every work, every job has its categories that you must attend to. Otherwise, something will fall, some things will fall through the cracks and you won't be successful in your work. So what are those categories for you, right? What are your categories for you? So that's how we do it. And you can also, of course, create categories for your personal life, such as, okay, my nutrition. If I get idea that's related to my well-being, my health, put that in that category so that when I look at my health, let's say every Sunday, you take an hour to look at your health category, then it's on your calendar for the Sunday morning. Then you go, okay, all right, I've got some ideas here for nutrition or exercise or sleep or whatever. Then you can look at them, go, what do I want to focus on now? What do I want to try to bring habit into, focus on a new habit, perhaps this coming month or something like that. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. I know I'm out of time. A quick one, Bertha says, how do we get started on something we don't want to but must do? Lots of resistance. Quickly, write down the smallest steps that you can for whatever project you can. And sometimes it might not be in the right order. You write down as many steps as you can, and then you reorder the steps. Like, oh, the steps need to go first. And if any step still creates resistance, write down even smaller steps to that. And then the other part, of course, is to co-work with someone, maybe a team member or a friend, or use something like FocusMate. I use FocusMate many hours. Now I set co-working sessions for my clients that we do group together. But you can use FocusMate. I use FocusMate 3 to 6 hours a day for years. And so that helps to have another human being there. Anyway, I'm out of time. Thank you so much for being here. And I appreciate you joining this. I hope this was inspiring and helpful for you.